No Man's Sky. If we're talking about endless replay value, No Man's Sky is a no-brainer. This game literally gives you an entire universe to explore with over 18 quintillion procedurally generated planets. Each one has unique environments, creatures, and resources, so you never really run out of new things to see. But it's not just about wandering around, there's a lot to do. You can build bases, trade with alien factions, hunt for rare resources, or even take on space pirates. And with all the updates Hello Games has dropped over the years, the game feels like it keeps evolving. Whether you want to explore solo, team up with friends, or just chill and build your dream base, there's something here for everyone. The best part? Every time you start the game, it's a new experience. You never know what kind of planet you'll land on or what kind of adventure you'll find. It's the ultimate sandbox game for anyone who loves space and discovery. No Man's Sky isn't just a game, it's an infinite playground you can keep coming back to forever. Exploration is just the start though. The game has grown so much since its launch, with updates adding a ton of new features. You can build and customize massive bases, tame alien creatures, upgrade your starships, or even create entire colonies with friends. There's also combat both on the ground and in space, so you can fend off hostile wildlife or take on space pirates if you're feeling bold. And if you're into multiplayer, you can team up with friends or strangers to explore galaxies together or tackle large-scale missions. What makes No Man's Sky special is its flexibility. You can play it however you want. Want to focus on resource gathering and crafting? Go for it. Prefer to become a trader, buying low and selling high in different star systems? That's an option too. Or maybe you just want to hop in your ship and let the game take you somewhere random. You'll almost always stumble on something cool, whether it's a bizarre alien species or a breathtaking view. And then there's the constant stream of updates. Hello Games has added so much over the years: VR support, expanded base building, massive starships, underwater exploration, and even community events. It's like the game keeps reinventing itself, which makes it feel new every time you come back to it. Whether you're in it for the exploration, the building, or the sheer chill vibes of flying through space, No Man's Sky is a game that never truly ends. It's the kind of game you can pick up, play for a while, and always find something new and exciting waiting for you. If endless replay value had a poster child, this would be it. Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter World is a game that redefines endless replay value. It's all about hunting massive monsters, crafting better gear from their parts, and using that gear to take on even tougher monsters. The gameplay loop is simple but incredibly addictive, and the sheer variety of monsters and gear makes every hunt feel fresh. The core of the game is mastering your weapon of choice. There are 14 unique weapon types, from heavy-hitting greatswords to ranged options like the bow or light bow gun. Each weapon feels completely different, so switching to a new one can make the game feel brand new. And it's not just about attacking, you're learning to read monsters, dodge their moves, and figure out the best strategies to take them down. The monsters themselves are incredible. Each one has its own behaviors, weaknesses, and attack patterns. Whether you're fighting the fire-breathing Anjanath or the thunderous Xenogre, every encounter is a mix of strategy and skill. And when you finally take down a monster after a long, intense battle, the sense of accomplishment is unmatched. Then there's the multiplayer. Hunting with friends or joining online teams adds a whole new layer to the experience. Coordinating attacks, setting traps, and working together to take down massive elder dragons is as satisfying as it gets. And the game's host flare system lets you jump into other players' hunts or call for help if you're struggling, which keeps the community active and engaging. The game also keeps things fresh with its post-launch updates. Monster Hunter World has had free updates adding new monsters, events, and gear. And if you pick up the Iceborne expansion, you're getting a whole new set of challenges with even tougher monsters, snowy landscapes, and expanded gear options. What makes Monster Hunter World endlessly replayable is its depth. You're always chasing something: a new weapon, a rare armor set, or just the thrill of the hunt. Every session feels rewarding, whether you're grinding for rare materials or just messing around with friends. It's the kind of game that keeps pulling you back in, hunt after hunt. Mount and Blade to Bannerlord. When it comes to endless replay value, Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord is a game that's hard to beat. It's a sandbox RPG where you build your own path in a massive medieval world. Whether you want to lead armies, manage your own kingdom, or simply roam the land as a mercenary, the game gives you complete freedom to play your way. The core of the game is its dynamic world. Factions wage wars, form alliances, and crumble based on what you and other AI leaders do. You can choose to serve a kingdom as a vassal, rise to power as a ruler, or stay independent and build your fortune as a trader, bandit, or arena champion. Every choice impacts the world around you, and no two playthroughs are ever the same. Combat is where the game shines. Battles are large-scale and chaotic, with hundreds of soldiers clashing on the field. You can fight on foot, ride into battle on horseback, or rain arrows from a distance. The combat system is skill-based, with realistic melee mechanics that take time to master. Leading your troops adds another layer of strategy, as positioning and tactics can mean the difference between victory and defeat. The campaign mode is a sandbox dream. You can recruit and train your own army, manage settlements, and even marry into powerful families to secure alliances. The economy is dynamic too, so trading and managing resources can be a viable way to build wealth and power. What makes Bannerlord endlessly replayable is the sheer variety of ways to approach the game. Want to be a ruthless warlord conquering the map? You can. Prefer to roleplay as a peaceful trader staying out of wars? That works too. And with mods, the game becomes even more expansive, letting you tweak mechanics, add new factions, or even play in entirely different settings. If you love games that let you craft your own story and reward creativity, Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord is the kind of game you can sink hundreds or thousands of hours into without ever getting bored. It's the ultimate medieval sandbox. Hades 2. If you're a fan of the original Hades, you'll feel right at home with Hades 2, but this time there's a fresh twist. You play as Melinoe, the princess of the underworld and sister to Zagreus, on a quest to take down Kronos, the titan of time. The roguelike gameplay is back and just as addictive, with fast-paced combat, procedurally generated dungeons, and that rich storytelling Supergiant Games is known for. The combat is sharp and familiar, but Hades 2 adds plenty of new tricks to keep things exciting. There are new weapons to master, new abilities to unlock, and a fresh cast of Olympian gods granting you boons. Each run feels unique as you experiment with different combinations of powers and strategies to see how far you can push. One of the best things about Hades 2 is how it builds on the original's approach to narrative. You're not just hacking and slashing, you're unraveling a story, interacting with a new lineup of gods, and diving deeper into Greek mythology. The characters are just as memorable and engaging as before, with that perfect blend of drama, humor, and personality.
Baldur and I were not as close as was its last relationship.
What makes Hades 2 endlessly replayable is how it keeps surprising you. The challenge ramps up, but so do your options. Every run feels like progress, whether it's learning a new enemy's patterns, unlocking a weapon upgrade, or piecing together another part of the story. Even in early access, Hades 2 already feels polished and full of content. If you loved the first game, or if you're new to the series but want something that mixes tight gameplay with great storytelling, this is a game you can easily sink countless hours into. It's a sequel that knows exactly what worked in the first game and gives you even more to love. Deep Rock Galactic. If you're looking for a game with endless replay value, Deep Rock Galactic is a solid pick. It's a co-op shooter where you and up to 3 friends play as badass space dwarves working for a mining corporation. The job? Dig deep into procedurally generated caves on an alien planet, gather resources, and fight off waves of terrifying creatures. It's chaotic, fun, and endlessly satisfying. The missions are straightforward but never feel repetitive. There's a mix of objectives: mining rare minerals, repairing lost equipment, or retrieving alien eggs, all while dealing with unpredictable cave systems and swarms of enemies. No 2 runs feel the same thanks to the procedural generation, which keeps things fresh every time you drop into the depths. Each dwarf has a unique class with its own abilities and tools. The gunner lays down heavy firepower, the engineer sets up turrets, the driller carves through rock with ease, and the scout zips around with a grappling hook and flare gun. The teamwork dynamics make every mission a blast, as you'll need to work together to survive and complete your objectives. The gameplay loop is simple but addictive. Complete missions, earn rewards, and use them to upgrade your gear, unlock perks, and customize your dwarf. The progression feels rewarding, and there's always something new to aim for, whether it's a shiny new weapon mod or a ridiculous cosmetic item. One of the best things about Deep Rock Galactic is its tone. It's full of humor and charm, from the dwarves' hilarious one-liners to the lively hub area where you can chill, customize your loadout, or even have a drink at the bar. It strikes a perfect balance between intense action and lighthearted fun. With its constant updates, seasonal content, and an active player base, Deep Rock Galactic is the kind of game you can keep coming back to. Whether you're playing with friends or jumping into random lobbies, it's a chaotic, satisfying experience that never gets old. Rock and Stone. Sea of Thieves. If you've ever dreamed of being a pirate, Sea of Thieves is the ultimate game to scratch that itch. It's a shared world adventure where you and your crew sail the high seas, looking for treasure, battling rival ships, and unraveling mysteries across a stunning open ocean. The best part, the game is whatever you want it to be. There's no wrong way to play. You can take on voyages for different trading companies, like hunting down legendary treasure, tracking cursed skeletons, or catching rare fish. Every session feels like a unique adventure, especially since the world is shared with other players. You never know if that ship on the horizon is going to be a friendly crew or a group of pirates ready to steal your loot. Combat is simple but fun, both on land and at sea. Ship battles are intense, requiring your crew to work together, steering, firing cannons, patching holes, and bailing water when things get rough. It's chaotic in the best way, especially when you're up against another player's ship or one of the game's massive threats like the Kraken or a ghost fleet. The world is gorgeous, with crystal clear waters, sun-drenched islands, and stormy seas that keep you on your toes. Exploration is a big part of the game, and the islands are full of secrets, puzzles, and hidden treasures to uncover. Plus, with regular updates, there's always something new to do, from fresh storylines to limited time events. The beauty of Sea of Thieves is its freedom. You can spend a session chasing treasure, exploring islands, or just messing around with your crew. Want to roleplay as a peaceful merchant, or become the most feared pirate on the server? It's all up to you. With its emphasis on player interaction and constant updates, Sea of Thieves is a game you can keep coming back to. Whether you're playing solo, with friends, or jumping into random lobbies, every voyage feels like a fresh story waiting to unfold. It's the perfect sandbox for anyone who loves the idea of living the pirate life. Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 is the kind of game you can sink hundreds of hours into and still feel like you've barely scratched the surface. Built on the foundations of Dungeons & Dragons, it's an epic RPG that gives you complete freedom to explore, fight, and make decisions that shape your story. Whether you're a longtime fan of the series or just love deep story-driven games, this one delivers. You create a character and assemble a party of companions, each with their own backstories, goals, and conflicts. The story kicks off with a mind flayer parasite in your head, and from there it's a journey of survival, alliances, and uncovering dark secrets. The choices you make matter, whether it's in dialogue, combat, or exploration. Everything affects how the world and its characters respond to you. Combat uses a turn-based system, which makes it feel like a true tabletop experience. You can experiment with different strategies, spells, and abilities, and the environment often plays a big role. Push an enemy off a cliff, set a trap, or use the terrain to your advantage. It's all about creativity. What makes Baldur's Gate 3 endlessly replayable is how much the game reacts to your decisions. There are countless ways to approach every situation, whether you're sneaking past enemies, talking your way out of trouble, or just diving in with swords and fireballs blazing. Each playthrough feels unique because of the sheer variety in classes, companions, and story paths. The world is massive and full of detail. You'll explore dense forests, ancient ruins, bustling towns, and so much more, each packed with quests, secrets, and moral dilemmas. And because it's based on D&D, the game is full of those little moments where the dice roll decides your fate, adding unpredictability to every interaction. Whether you're here for the epic story, the tactical combat, or just the chance to roleplay your dream character, Baldur's Gate 3 is a game that keeps giving. It's not just about beating the game, it's about the stories you create along the way, and it's the kind of experience you'll want to dive into again and again. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is a game that's as challenging as it is rewarding. Developed by From Software, the minds behind Dark Souls and Bloodborne, it offers a different kind of experience focusing on precise, high-stakes combat and a gripping story of loyalty and revenge set in a beautifully crafted version of Sengoku-era Japan. You play as Wolf, a shinobi, on a mission to rescue your kidnapped lord and protect him from a mysterious cult. The story is more straightforward than other From Software games, but it's packed with layers of mystery and lore if you take the time to explore. The personal stakes of Wolf's journey add an emotional depth that pulls you in. The combat is where Sekiro really shines. Forget hacking and slashing, this is all about timing, precision, and learning your enemy's patterns. You'll use your katana to parry, block, and land devastating counterattacks, but every fight feels like a dance. The posture system, which rewards aggression and perfect timing, makes battles feel tense and tactical. Boss fights in particular are unforgettable. Each one is a massive test of skill and patience, but beating them feels like an achievement in itself. Outside of combat, Sekiro gives you a grappling hook, letting you navigate the world in ways that feel freeing and dynamic. You'll swing between cliffs, sneak through enemy camps, and uncover hidden areas packed with secrets. Exploration is rewarding with plenty of upgrades, lore, and optional challenges to discover. The world design is stunning. From misty forests and snowy mountains to crumbling temples and vibrant castles, every area feels alive with atmosphere and danger. The game's visuals and soundtrack immerse you in its world, making every moment memorable. What makes Sekiro endlessly replayable is its skill-based nature. Every playthrough is a chance to refine your technique, experiment with different approaches, or tackle optional bosses and endings you might have missed. The difficulty can be punishing, but the payoff, whether it's a perfectly timed deflect or a hard-fought victory, makes it worth coming back to. If you're up for a challenge and love games that reward mastery and perseverance, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is a must-play. It's not just a game, it's an experience that sticks with you long after you've put down the controller. Nioh 2. Just like Sekiro, if you're into challenging action games with deep combat systems, Nioh 2 is a game you'll keep coming back to. It's a prequel to the first Nioh, but you don't need to have played the original to dive in. You create your own custom character, a half-human, half-yokai warrior, and take on a journey through a dark mythological version of Sengoku-era Japan. The combat is the star of the show. It's fast, precise, and packed with options. You have a wide range of weapons to master, from katanas and axes to more exotic choices like kusaragamas and switchglaives, and each weapon feels unique, and the skill trees give you the freedom to refine your playstyle. Add in yokai abilities, special moves you absorb from enemies, and combat becomes even more dynamic and satisfying. The game's stance system, where you switch between high, mid, and low stances, adds a layer of strategy to every fight. High stance deals heavy damage, mid stance balances offense and defense, and low stance focuses on speed and dodging. Knowing when to switch stances during a fight keeps you engaged and on your toes. Boss fights are where Nioh 2 really shines. Each boss feels like a unique puzzle to solve, with attacks and patterns that force you to adapt and learn. They're tough, but the thrill of victory after finally taking one down is unbeatable. Exploration is another big part of the game. Levels are filled with secrets, shortcuts, and collectibles like the adorable little Kodama spirits that grant you bonuses. You'll also find new gear constantly, and the loot system ensures there's always a reason to tweak your build and try out new strategies. The multiplayer adds even more replay value. You can team up with friends or summon allies to help with tough battles, and the game includes co-op options that let you tackle missions together. There's also the Dream of the Strong and other higher difficulty modes, which provide fresh challenges even after you've beaten the main story. With its intense combat, deep customization, and endless ways to experiment, Nioh 2 is the kind of game that keeps you hooked. Whether you're chasing better gear, mastering a new weapon, or just looking to test your skills against tougher enemies, this is a game you can easily play for hundreds of hours. The Hitman Trilogy. The Hitman Trilogy spanning Hitman 2016, Hitman 2 2018, and Hitman 3 2021 is a masterclass in stealth gameplay and replayability. You step into the shoes of Agent 47, a professional assassin with a knack for turning anything, literally anything, into a deadly weapon. Across these 3 games, you're given access to a massive variety of intricately designed levels, each one a sandbox for creativity and strategy. What makes the trilogy so replayable is its freedom of approach. Each mission drops you into a sprawling location, whether it's a Paris fashion show, a Colombian jungle, or a Dubai skyscraper, and leaves the how up to you. You can go loud with explosives, take a sniper's precision shot, or disguise yourself as a waiter and poison someone's drink. Every choice feels meaningful, and the sheer variety of ways to complete a mission means you'll want to replay levels just to try out new tactics. The World of Assassination Trilogy carries your progress across all 3 games, meaning you can revisit missions from earlier titles with the improved mechanics of Hitman 3. It's a seamless experience that feels like one cohesive package rather than 3 separate games. The game also leans into experimentation with its mission stories and challenges. These are little scenarios that guide you through creative ways to eliminate your targets, like setting up an accidental death or manipulating NPCs into doing your work for you. And even after you've mastered a mission, the escalation contracts, elusive targets, and user-created missions keep the content flowing. Visually, the trilogy is stunning. Each location feels alive, with crowds of NPCs going about their business, creating a sense that you're sneaking through a real, dynamic world. The attention to detail is insane, from the reflective floors of a high-tech bank to the dense foliage of a tropical island. Whether you're a completionist looking to check off every challenge, a stealth purist trying to achieve the perfect silent assassin run, or just someone who loves messing around to see what happens, the Hitman Trilogy offers endless replay value. It's the ultimate sandbox for creative assassins, and no 2 playthroughs ever feel the same. Seven Days to Die. 7 Days to Die is an open-world survival game where you scavenge, build, and fight to stay alive in a zombie apocalypse. Every 7 days, a massive zombie horde attacks, forcing you to prepare, defend, and adapt. You start with nothing, collecting resources to craft tools, weapons, and shelter. As you gather supplies, you can upgrade your base, adding walls, traps, and defenses to protect yourself from increasingly dangerous waves of zombies. The game gives you the freedom to focus on what matters most, whether it's crafting, building, exploring, or combat. The world is procedurally generated, so no 2 games feel the same. You can explore cities, search bunkers, or venture into the wilderness for supplies. The day-night cycle adds tension, with daylight offering time to gather and nights forcing you to hunker down and survive. Combat feels grounded. You can choose melee weapons, ranged weapons, or traps to deal with the undead. Zombies are persistent and will find ways to reach you, breaking walls and climbing obstacles, which keeps you alert during every encounter. 7 Days to Die offers a survival experience that grows with you. It's not about rushing to win. It's about adapting, building, and exploring. If you enjoy open-ended survival games, this one has plenty to offer, and its flexibility ensures you can play it your way. Vampire Survivors. Vampire Survivors is a simple but addictive game that thrives on its replay value. It's a roguelite where your goal is to survive waves of enemies while leveling up and collecting upgrades. The gameplay might seem straightforward at first, but it quickly becomes a satisfying loop of chaos, strategy, and discovery. You pick a character and start with a single weapon, but as you defeat enemies, you gain experience and unlock upgrades. Each level gives you a choice of new abilities, weapons, or buffs, and your decisions shape how each run plays out. Do you focus on area damage, increase your movement speed, or stack projectiles? The combinations feel endless, and experimenting with builds keeps every run fresh. The enemies come in relentless waves, growing in number and difficulty as time passes. By the end of a run, your screen will be filled with enemies, and you'll need to rely on your upgrades and positioning to stay alive. It's chaotic but rewarding, especially when you watch your weapons and abilities shred through enemies after a well-built run. The maps are simple but packed with secrets. You'll find treasure chests, hidden power-ups, and even unlockable characters or weapons. These discoveries add layers to the game, encouraging exploration and experimentation. The simplicity of Vampire Survivors is part of what makes it endlessly replayable. Runs are short, usually lasting around 30 minutes, but no two feel the same. The game rewards skill, planning, and a little luck, so it always feels satisfying even when you don't make it to the end. If you're looking for a game that's easy to pick up but hard to put down, Vampire Survivors is worth your time. Its simple mechanics and deep replayability make it a perfect game to jump into whenever you've got time to kill. Risk of Rain 2. Risk of Rain 2 is a roguelite that takes the fast-paced action of its predecessor and translates it into a fully 3D experience. It's a game about survival, teamwork, and pushing your limits as you fight through waves of enemies and bosses in an ever-escalating challenge. Whether you're playing solo or with friends, the game offers endless replay value thanks to its dynamic gameplay and procedural design. You start each run by choosing a character known as a survivor, each with unique abilities and playstyles. Whether you're the agile huntress, the tanky loader, or the versatile engineer, each character feels distinct, and learning their strengths is part of the fun. As you defeat enemies, you earn money to open chests and buy items that enhance your abilities, creating powerful synergies that can turn you into an unstoppable force or leave you scrambling if luck isn't on your side. The levels are procedurally generated, so no two runs are ever the same. You'll explore alien environments from lush forests to desolate deserts, battling waves of enemies that get tougher the longer you stay. The game forces you to balance exploration and urgency, spend too long gathering items, and the enemies become overwhelming. The real magic of Risk of Rain 2 lies in its item system. Each item you find stacks, and the combinations can lead to some truly wild builds. You might stack items that increase your attack speed, create chain lightning with every hit, or spawn drones to fight alongside you. Experimenting with different items and builds makes every run feel unique and exciting. Boss fights add an extra layer of challenge, testing your ability to manage enemies, use the environment, and make the most of your build. And once you've beaten the boss of a stage, you decide whether to continue to the next level for even greater rewards or end the run by escaping. Risk of Rain 2 is a game you can keep coming back to. Its mix of challenging gameplay, endless customization, and cooperative fun makes it one of the most replayable roguelites out there. Whether you're experimenting with new builds, unlocking content, or just seeing how long you can survive, it's a game that never gets old. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Skyrim is the ultimate game for replayability. It's an open world RPG where you can do almost anything, and no two playthroughs ever feel the same. Whether you want to explore every corner of its sprawling map, follow the main story, or just live out your own fantasy life, the game gives you the freedom to create your adventure. You play as the Dragonborn, a hero destined to save the world from Alduin, a world-eating dragon. But that's just the start. Skyrim is packed with factions, side quests, and endless opportunities to carve your own path. Want to join the Thieves Guild and master stealth? Or maybe you'd rather lead the companions as a warrior? You can even become a vampire lord or a werewolf. The world of Skyrim is breathtaking and full of variety. Snow-capped mountains, dense forests, and ancient ruins make exploration a joy. There's always something to discover: a hidden cave, a powerful weapon, or a random encounter that turns into its own story. The game rewards curiosity at every turn. Combat and progression are flexible, letting you shape your character however you like. You can wield swords, bows, or magic, or mix them to create your own style. The skill system encourages experimentation, and leveling up always feels rewarding. Mods are where Skyrim truly shines for replayability. The modding community has created everything from simple tweaks to massive overhauls, adding new quests, characters, and mechanics. Whether you want better graphics, new weapons, or even entire new lands to explore, mods keep the game fresh no matter how many hours you've already put in. With its epic scale, countless options, and endless community-driven content, Skyrim is a game you can return to again and again. It's not just about finishing quests or leveling up, it's about the stories you create and the adventures you discover along the way. If there's one game that defines endless replay value, it's this one. The Binding of Isaac. The Binding of Isaac is the definition of a game with endless replay value. It's a roguelite dungeon crawler where every run feels unique. Well, again, because of its procedurally generated levels, enemies, and items. You play as Isaac, a young boy escaping into the horrors of his basement to flee his fanatically religious mother. The story is dark and strange, but it sets the stage for a game that's all about experimentation and survival. The gameplay is simple but deep. You move through randomly generated rooms, defeating enemies, collecting power-ups, and facing off against challenging bosses. The variety in items is what makes the game so addictive. There are hundreds of items to discover, and they all interact in wild ways. One run might turn you into an unstoppable powerhouse with laser tears, while the next might challenge you to scrape by with weaker tools. The unpredictability keeps every playthrough fresh. The difficulty ramps up the further you go, but so does the potential for powerful builds. Unlocking new characters, items, and upgrades adds layers to the experience, encouraging you to keep playing and experimenting. There's always a new synergy to discover or a rare item you haven't seen yet. The game is packed with secrets. Hidden rooms, unlockable bosses, and alternate endings make it feel like there's always something new to uncover. Each run feels like an adventure with surprises around every corner. The visuals and music add to the game's charm. Its cartoony yet grotesque art style matches the dark humor and twisted tone of the story. The soundtrack is equally haunting and energizing, pulling you deeper into Isaac's surreal world. Whether you're aiming for a high score, unlocking everything, or just seeing how far you can get, The Binding of Isaac is a game that never gets old. Its mix of challenge, variety, and discovery makes it endlessly replayable. It's the kind of game you can jump into for a quick session or sink hours into without realizing it. Battle Brothers. Battle Brothers is a turn-based tactical RPG that's all about leading a mercenary company in a gritty, low-fantasy world. It's tough, unpredictable, and endlessly replayable thanks to its open-ended design and procedural elements. Every playthrough is unique, and no two campaigns ever feel the same. You start with a ragtag group of mercenaries and take on contracts to earn money, improve your gear, and grow your reputation. The contracts range from hunting down bandits and slaying beasts to escorting caravans and defending towns. As you build your company, you'll recruit new members, train them in different roles, and equip them with better weapons and armor. Combat is where Battle Brothers shines. It's deep and tactical with a hex-based grid and a focus on positioning, morale, and strategic decision-making. Your mercenaries can gain experience and level up, but they're also fragile. Death is permanent, and a single mistake can lead to losing a valuable fighter or even your entire company. It's a game that rewards careful planning and punishes overconfidence. The world itself is dynamic and reactive. Towns grow or fall depending on how events unfold, and your reputation influences how people treat you. You can choose to be a noble protector, a ruthless raider, or something in between. The world also throws curveballs at you, like crises involving noble wars, undead invasions, or greenskin hordes, each requiring you to adapt and survive. What keeps Battle Brothers endlessly replayable is the freedom it gives you. You can decide how to grow your company, what kind of contracts to take, and how to respond to the game's challenges. The procedural maps, random events, and wide range of starting scenarios ensure every campaign feels fresh. The game also offers tons of content through expansions, adding new enemies, events, and mechanics. Whether you're hunting down legendary beasts, exploring dangerous wilderness, or chasing treasure, there's always something to do. Battle Brothers is perfect for players who love challenging, strategic gameplay and don't mind the risk of failure. It's a game that tests your leadership and decision-making at every step, and its unpredictability makes it the kind of game you can keep coming back to. If you're looking for a deep tactical experience with endless variety, this one's a winner.
Quit yapping back there!
And what's got bro down?
Check your vibes.